Hello, I'm Barbara Gorin with Craftastic Cabin. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an accordion flip album from start to finish. I found my inspiration from the YouTube channel Lyric Lover Crafts, which I'll link in the description below. I made this album for my mom as a keepsake of our trip to Tennessee back in December of 2020. It came out so cute and I couldn't wait to give it to her. I hope you get inspired too. Let's get started. For this project, we're going to be using Echo Park's Farmers Market collection. The pieces we'll be using include the pattern papers, the coordinating solids, the stamps, and the ephemera. I will link each of these products in the description below. However, if you were subscribed to our monthly box this past July, you have all the pieces and can easily make this project. I also did an unboxing on my Facebook page. In that video, I show you each of the papers and the embellishments up close. This will give you a better idea of what the various pieces look like and how they coordinate. Now here I created a PDF download guide showing you all the sizes you need, the best way to cut your papers, and all the scoring measurements. I based the guide on the project I created in this video. You may want to alter it a bit depending on how you design your accordion album. You will need to cut 4 8.5 by 6 1/4 solid color pieces. These 4 pieces will equal 16 pages, 1 for the front cover, 1 for the back cover, and 14 photo and pocket pages. If you want less pages or pockets, you would just cut less and adjust your pieces for your project. I also cut 12 3x4 pieces, which will be used to create the pockets. I cut 12 because I won't need pockets for the front and back covers. If this doesn't make sense to you now, as I assemble the album, you will see why I have less pockets than pages. Here's a tip. When you create your 4x6 mats, if you cut them in half, that creates the 3x4. This is a good tip as you create your cuts and then plan your pattern pieces throughout your album. As you can see here, there's your 4x6, and then when I separate it, it becomes 2 pieces of 3x4s. Here you'll see I cut 14 4x6 mats. You can get 4 mats from a 12x12 paper, but you also have to keep in mind the patterns that you're going to use. So you may or may not use a whole 12x12. You may only use 6 inches of it. You'll make that determination as you create your album. But also, if you use the PDF download, you'll see how I incorporated my cuts to be able to maximize the use of the collection. Since I am using tags for my photos, I did cut 14 tags. You may want less tags depending if you decide to repeat what I do. Now, to hinge together the album, I needed 3 1-inch by 6 1/4 inch pieces. Now, if you make a 12-page album, you're only going to need 2 hinges for your album. So just keep that in mind as you do your cuts. So for the 8.5 by 6 1/4 pieces, you will need to score at the 4 1/4 mark. For the 1-inch by 6 1/4 pieces, you'll need to score at the 1/2 inch mark. Don't worry about taking notes. All these details are included in the free PDF download. All you have to do is sit back, relax, and follow along. I'm going to go ahead and score the pieces and speed up the video. Now that we have our pieces scored, we're going to go ahead and fold them along the creases. Scoring makes folding your paper so much easier. I'm going to start with the 8.5 by 6.25 pieces from folding them in half. It's very important to use your bone folder to press the paper. This allows the paper to lay flat after being folded. It also takes away the fold wrinkles, kind of like an iron does with clothes. I'll demonstrate here how when you only fold with your hands, it just pops up. But after, as you can see with the bone folder, it lays flat. Now, you may notice that my hinges are a different color than the beginning of the video. I incorrectly scored the original ones and needed to cut a few new pieces. Fortunately, I had some scraps and was able to create a few more. I love how colorful this album is. And if you have any white craft or coordinating solid color and you would like your base pieces to be the same color and only use the Echo Park collection for tags and mats, that is completely up to you. I just chose to use all the pretty colors in this collection because I just really like how it just makes it very bright and vibrant. Again, it's just a personal preference and not necessarily required. So as you can see here, I laid out my pieces and I ordered them the way that I wanted by the colors. Now we're going to adhere the hinges to the larger pieces to form our accordion album. I will do one here and then I'll speed up the video and complete the remaining pieces. As you can see, I was using dry adhesive, and then I realized later that liquid adhesive would have worked better for this project. It allows for better coverage, and you end up having a little better wiggle room to match your edges. So it's just another tip from my experience. Start with liquid adhesive and save yourself some troubles from my own experience. You'll see that I ended up continuing using the dry adhesive, and I was able to complete the album. But I can tell you that I wish I would have used the liquid adhesive because I ended up having to erase some of the dry adhesive. It kind of got, stuck a little bit. I didn't get it all the way up to the edges. Whereas with the liquid, I certainly would have been able to press that around. So just a little FYI. So here you'll see the blue pieces are the hinges, and they're laying face up, which means we are looking at the inside of the album. So I'm going to fold the album accordion style, like a paper fan, starting with the left side. And I'm going to fold to the right. I'll show you here again, folding to the right. And then I will fold my hinge and match it with the other blue hinge. I'll keep folding until the entire book becomes one piece. As you can see, we are just going back and forth, pressing down, and then back and forth, and now we have one completed piece. Starting with the front cover here, let's flip through the album one time before embellishing. So here's page 1 and 2. Page 3 and 4, page 5 and 6, and pages 7 and 8. Ending in the back cover, which is actually page 9. And now we're at pages 10 and 11, 12 and 13, 14 and 15, and ending with our front cover. Before starting to adhere our pattern pieces, I want to give you another tip. Here I sketched a grid and it became a guide for myself on notebook paper. I drew a very simple grid identifying each area as a page in the album. I then wrote what photo I wanted on each page and the coordinating pattern paper to that photo. This allowed me to make really great use of my supplies. Now here you'll see I took it a step further, and I decided which stickers I would potentially use, and then I put a Post-it note on each of the sticker so I knew what I had planned. It was just a really helpful process for me as I determined my different pages in my layout. One other tip is using a Post-it identifying where I needed to cut my pattern paper. As you can see with the truck pattern, we want to make sure our pattern is facing the correct direction when we cut to our 4x6. I'll show you if you were to cut from top to bottom, you will end up with the pattern facing sideways at the time that the 4x6 would be cut. So to prevent that, we want to cut from the middle, going from like left to right, and that way our 4x6 will actually be facing the correct direction. It's very easy to cut in the wrong direction when preparing our pieces, so this will help prevent that. So using that nice little layout or grid that I made myself, I went on ahead and I sorted out all the pattern pieces that I wanted here for my album, as well as the pictures, and now I'm going to go ahead and adhere everything in the album. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up this photo, and I will be right back once I have all of this glued down.
2 a.m. in the car playing our favorite song. Turn it up, windows down, we sing along. The summer night has just begun. The moon is bright, let's have some fun. Oh, this is everything with you right next to me. So alive, and tonight I'm thinking that I don't wanna go. Calling sick in the morning, baby, don't leave. They don't need to know we're out here wild and free. They say we're crazy, it's too much. And yeah, we're crazy, deep in love. Oh, this is everything with you right next to me. So alive, and tonight I'm thinking that I don't wanna go. This is everything with you right next to me. So alive, and tonight I'm thinking that I don't wanna go. This is everything with you right next to me. So alive, and tonight I'm thinking that I don't wanna go.
Now I'm going to adhere my 3x4 pocket pieces. At first, it's going to look really busy to the eye, but once I add the tags and the photos in the album, it will balance out. I will do the first couple of pockets and then I'll finish the album. The main thing to remember is you're going to apply adhesive to 3 sides: the left, the right, and the bottom. This will allow the top to remain open for the tag. So I'm going to show you here where I'm going to adhere the adhesive or apply the adhesive to the 3 sides. As you see here, I know it's a little out of camera, I apologize. And now I'm going to adhere it to the patterned paper. And then I'll show you by inserting my fingers into the very top how that will remain open for the tag. Yeah. You'll also notice that I already have the ribbon enclosure already attached. That's because I thought I was filming and I wasn't. All I did was center it on the back cover and then I glued the mat over it. So while I was gluing the pocket pieces, I noticed that my dry adhesive was too big and not allowing enough opening at the top of the tag. So I'm going to switch back to my liquid adhesive again. This will allow a much thinner lining of adhesive, which will increase the opening. So pay a close attention to your dry adhesive runner and make sure that if it's too wide, you might need to also use liquid adhesive. I'm going to make the tags. Now here I secured my cardstock with a piece of removable tape, which is some purple tape by Gina K. I'm going to show you how to cut the tags with a ruler and an X-Acto knife. So what I do is I find 2 points that are 1/2 inch. And then I draw a straight line after matching my ruler up with each point. Now, if you want a larger slant, you would just increase your measurements and your points. Now I go to the other side, I find those 2 1/2 inch points, and then I draw that line. So now I have those 2 slants already outlined. So since this tag is 3 1/4, my center point will be slightly larger than 1 1/2 inches, which you can see here with that nice black line. So I'm going to draw a circle using my ruler, and then I'll be able to make sure that my tags will have the opening correctly placed, and it's as easy as that. No having to guess every time you punch a hole, and you'll be able to use this as a template for your other tags, so you don't have to do this each time. Now that I have my markings, I will be able to trim my corners, and I'm using my CutterPillar paper trimmer, which has my light that I love. And then I also used my Crop-A-Dial to punch the center hole. You can punch the hole using whatever tools that you own. Once I have all of my markings cut out, I'll be able to use this particular tag as a template for all my other pieces. Now, if you prefer to trace and cut, I do include a template in the free download with the other guides. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the rest of this portion while I go ahead and mark out the rest of my tags and get them trimmed and ready for the next step in the album. Now that I've prepared all the tags and removed the white border from the photos and sorted them in the order that I want them to go, I can show you what this is going to look like. Here is where I prepared 3 tags off camera, and this is my mom with her French toast. On the back of these tags, I also took a picture of the menu and I printed it on regular printer paper and adhered it on the back of these tags, excuse me. This shows what each person was eating, and I just thought it was a nice little addition to the photos. I also think I'm going to reinforce the holes with some eyelets from my stash. This is something you may or may not want to do, but it certainly will be handy when it comes time to putting certain ribbons through. Here's my dad with his breakfast, and then on the back I did the same thing as with my mom, took a photo of the menu, and then here's my daughter as well. Same pattern, except this time I added the location in Tennessee. So these photos are going in the first section of my album. I decided to put my parents in the first page and lay them together in the first pocket, and then put my daughter off to the side. I will add the eyelets and the ribbons later, but for right now I just want to get the photos glued onto the tags and get them put in their coordinating pockets. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video while I complete this next step. So here's a little tip. I'm getting my eyelets sorted to add to my tags. I use a half dozen muffin tin with the liners, and I'm able to put all of the colored eyelets that I want in each liner. See how they kind of lay around the table? By putting them inside the liners, I'm able to have multiple colors without having them rolling all over my workspace. And then when I'm finished, I can actually pick up the liner and easily put them back in the Ziploc bag. So here I'm filling it up, and then I'll pick up the liner, and then it's an easy cleanup. No more trying to pick them up with your fingers or dropping them on the floor. So that's just a little tip to be able to help keep your space organized and things being easily accessible on your craft table. So I'm going to go ahead and get these divvied out and sorted, and then I'm going to add them to my tags. I'm going to put the eyelets on the tags and add the ribbons from my stash. I'll show you how to do this first tag. As you can see, the eyelet's already on it. I didn't measure how much ribbon. I'm going to guess it's probably a good 5 or 6 inches. So I fold the ribbon in half and join the ends together. And then long ways, I fold them again and give it a good twist. So I'll show you again. There's the ends. And then I'm going to fold it in half long ways and then give them a twist. So then holding with my finger, I'm gonna thread it through the back starting first, and then pull it through. Use tweezers if you have to, and then carefully put the ends through the loop. Be careful how fast you pull. Now, as you can see, both finishes look fine, so if you want to go through the front, that's fine too. This is my preference. There's the back and what it would look like had you started from the front. So it's completely up to you. Now, if it still feels too loose, you can go ahead and tie it like shoelaces, which I will show you here, and then that will be hidden on the back. So as I try to get myself situated there, because they're short pieces, I go ahead and I just crisscross and pop it through, like I said, a pair of shoes, give it a nice little pull, and then there you have it. It can almost look like bunny ears. So I just fidget with it, and then you would just cut the ends as you would prefer. So here I just even them out and cut them at a small angle. And then once you do that, it's all finished. And then they can go in the album. So as you can see, that I'm putting trash in that bottom left cupcake liner. So that's also another tip. So now that it's ready to go into my accordion album, and as you can see, I already did my dad's tag and my daughter's tag. So this will give you an idea as far as how it's coming together and what it's going to look like. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish all the other tags by adding eyelets and ribbons, and it's going to start getting really decorative and full. So I'll speed the video up again and I'll be right back. Now all the ribbons and eyelets are attached, and now I want to work on the front cover. I might add some stuff to the pockets, but for now, we'll just see how it goes. So I'm going to lay my front cover flat, and I'm going to remove the tags so I don't have any extra bulk. And now for the fun part, being able to add all the different stuff from the collection. So if you recall from the beginning of the video, these Post-it notes are just markers for things that I might want to use. I definitely wanted to use the Making Memory sticker and put it at the very top of the front cover. And as you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and place that in the center, and I just eyeballed it. I didn't really measure. I also want to use the truck sticker, which is at the very bottom, but I also like the barn in the ephemera. So I'm going to take the ephemera that I put aside. Now here's another organization tip. I went on ahead and paper clipped those together and put the little Post-it notes that I wanted to use for each of the different pages. Again, it's just me. You may not really need to do this for yourself, but I just found it really helpful. So this is for the cover as it's noted. And so I really enjoyed these pieces and I thought they would look really nice on the front. So I want to match the barn ephemera, which I'm about to show here, and put that with the truck sticker. So I'm thinking of layering these two pieces together. I kind of wish I had some sticker paper, it would have certainly have helped me tremendously. I really liked this yellow ribbon piece, but I'm not quite sure where I want it. So for now, I'm just going to work on the barn piece, which I'm putting adhesive on right now, and layering it with the truck. Now, I normally don't recommend using adhesive and applying it on top of your project, but I was able to see where my adhesive was beginning and ending here. So I kind of bent my own rules. So here I'm going to grab the truck piece and I'm going to go ahead and layer that with the barn. Now, this is where the sticker paper would have been handy, or even maybe a piece of wax paper, just so I would have been able to pick up the adhesive and put it back down. But for now, I just ended up eyeballing it, and I just kept shifting it until I got it where I wanted it. So as you can see, I was just very careful and was able to just lift it up. And I tried to layer it in the air, but that didn't work out so well either. So just learn from my little struggles here of maybe what you might want to do for you. So I've just about got it layered, and it looks really super cute. So now I've got to come up with a place for this yellow piece, which like I said, I really like it. It doesn't really belong in the center, even though I was really trying to make it work, but it just wasn't happening. So with a little trial and error, I really liked it here on the left side. So I just gently picked up the sticker from the Making Memories, and I also layered these two pieces. So like I said, if you're very, very careful, you're able to still peel back some of the adhesive before it becomes too permanent on the project. So once I got this layered and I got that pressed down, I just needed to come up with something for the middle, and that's going to be my next task. So after going through some more of the ephemera pieces, I came up with the idea of taking another piece of paper ribbon. As you can see, it has floral pattern, and I flipped it over and decided to write the information on the other side and use that as my title. So that's what's going to go into the center and complete the front cover. So I just added some adhesive to the pattern side, and with, again, a little bit more eyeballing, because I don't like to measure if I can get away with it, and a little shifting and replacing, which again I have to do it a couple of times, but it did end up working out in the end. My front cover is complete, and I really think it turned out so great. So now I'm going to add some ephemera to a few of the pockets. I'm going to start with my parent, which I've already completed on the left. It's a jar that says the secret ingredient is always love. I thought it was pretty appropriate. But for the next page, which looks a little feisty, is my mom telling all of us to step aside while she eats this delicious cinnamon roll, which I'm showing you right here. And then she took back some homemade banana cream pudding to our cottage. So for the pocket, I used the ephemera piece showing baking tools from the kitchen there. And then I decided that I wanted to use one of the stamps. And I chose the stamp that said, "Life's little moments make the best memories," which I thought was really appropriate for this page. I thought about stamping directly on the pocket, but then I thought a white square would be better. So I keep paper cutouts of my square dies so that way I can match the correct size, which is what I'm fishing for here. Once I match the size, I can see if it would fit my actual project. So here I'm trying to match up a square piece to my stamp. And through trial and error here, I eventually end up finding that my number 7 piece, because I do have them numbered, actually fits the stamp perfectly. So I put it on my pocket and I see here that it does in fact work very well for this particular piece. So I went on ahead and I grabbed a piece of white cardstock and I die cut the square. And then I grabbed my stamp and my acrylic block. Now, if you had our previous kits, which included some Lawn Fawn pieces and ink, you'll have the cubes that I'm about to use to ink my stamp. However, if you don't have those cubes, it's okay. You can use whatever black stamp ink that you have on hand. So here I'm going ahead and I'm going to get my black ink out. Now, with new stamps, you need to prime them. So I find the best way to do this is to stamp a couple of times on scratch paper. So I'm going to ink up my stamp really well. And I'm going to go ahead and grab some scratch paper and my piece of foam, which you see here. And this you can purchase at the craft store very inexpensively. And I'm going to stamp on it. Now, once I do it the first time, I'm going to show you how faded the result looks if you've never done this before. It looks really faded, and that's just because it's a new stamp. But now I'm going to ink it again, and I'm going to stamp a second time. Once I get this impression, it starts to become more crisp. I do this a couple of times for each new stamp. And by the third time, I'm getting the result that I want. And I'm going to be able to start using it on the white die cut. So there's my third impression, and it's ready to go. So now I'm going to grab my square that I die cut, and I go ahead and stamp it and ink up really, really well. And that's what's really important, is to get a really good image. We want to ink it really well. And then I can get this nice, crisp image. Now, once I finish stamping, I always have baby wipes right next to me so I can go ahead and clean it and put it away, ready for the next use. Many people make the mistake by just putting it away and they don't take care of their stamps. Your stamps will last a very long time, and you will prevent a lot of mistakes in future projects if you just take a quick second and just wipe them with baby wipes. So now I'm going to go ahead and adhere both pieces to the right pocket. So first I'm going to add the kitchen tools, and then I'm going to add my stamped image on my die cut. I really was so impressed and happy with the way that both pages turned out between the ephemera and the stamped image. I just think it looks so super cute. I'm just so thrilled with these. And I know that once I give this to my mom, she's just going to be so elated. So I decided to decorate 2 more pockets. And this is where we ended up having some ice cream sundaes at a nearby restaurant. On the left side, the ephemera says, "A little sugar makes life sweet." And on the right side, it says, "Life is short, lick the bowl." And yes, that's me on the right side with that ginormous sundae. And y'all, I ate the whole thing and I have no apologies. So I'm going to go ahead and attach that piece of ephemera on top of the patterned cows, and then the circled piece on top of the floral pattern. They really just add that extra special accent and embellishment, and it really just topped off the pages. The last thing I have left to do is write all the details to the back of each tag. I always say journaling doesn't have to be a novel. Just 4 different things are crucial: the date, the name of the people in the photo, the location, and your handwriting. If you are able to add a story or a few extra details, the more the better. But journaling is really meaningful when there's a sensory experience. So if you're going to add more detail, use as many descriptive words as possible. Otherwise, just keep it simple. Complete, and like I said before, I could not be happier with it. It just came out so nice and so meaningful, and it really represents how our trip was. So I'm going to take you through the album from cover to cover, and that way you can see the album in its entirety from beginning to end. And everything except a few things from my stash, like eyelets and ribbons, was made using the Echo Parks Farmers Market collection. So let's go ahead and do a page by page view. So as you've seen this one already, this is my mom, my dad, and my daughter, and this is where we were eating breakfast. And here you remember the tags, and then I had the menu on the very, very back, so that way it gave a really good representation, as well as saved me some journaling. So that is a really good tip. For the next pages, these are photos of our cottage and the place that we stayed, and I put the number as well as the location, and of course this is a black and white photo of myself for her to have. This was another great funny meal that we ended up having. Lots of memories were made. So that was my mom eating her fried chicken, and my dad enjoyed his meatloaf. And on the other side was a picture of my daughter's pot pie, and I was the only one that ate a healthy salad. So if your family gives you a hard time for taking photos of your food, this is the end result, and they will be grateful later. Now this is, you've already seen this is a picture of my parents, so that's going to be a great keepsake. And then you just saw me put together the next page with the cinnamon roll and banana cream pudding, as well as those embellishments. So it just came out so well, and it really is like reliving the whole vacation again. I'm so glad that it came out the way that it did. I know it's going to be very meaningful for her. So once I get these tags back in, it'll flip to the back cover, and that's where we'll go to the back pages. So here, now I didn't show this to you before, but it's our Dollywood ticket with cinnamon bread, and then here's some ice cream sundaes that you just saw. And then the last couple of pages I left for my mom to add anything that she might have kept from the trip as well. So I hope you liked this video, and if you did, it would really mean a lot if you could hit that like button. If you became inspired, I would really appreciate if you subscribed to my channel, and I really look forward to seeing you again during the next project.